Hey everybody, this is John K7CO, and tonight I'll be doing a little demonstration of a couple of things. One, a FlexRadio 6300, and I'll be using two modes of ham radio, one called JT65 and one called JT9. I'll show you a little bit about the setup of the software and some of the online utilities that I use, and some of the other packages that go along with making this mode a lot of fun. So appreciate you tuning in, and hope that you enjoy the content here. I purchased a FlexRadio 6300 not that long ago, and I'm amazed at how great it is at setting up for digital modes. So here on the screen, as you can see, I have the FlexRadio software going. I also have the software package WSJT-X version 1.5 by K1JT, Joe Taylor. And I got a couple other packages here that I'll talk about a little bit later, but to begin with, I just wanted to talk about how easy it is to set up a FlexRadio with digital mode software. So over here under the DAX tab on the FlexRadio, we have channel 1 or channel 2 available. So in this case I am using channel 2, and over here in the WSJT-X software, if I go into settings and I go to audio, you can see here I've got input is DAX audio RX2, DAX RX audio, and then in the output I've got DAX audio TX2, DAX TX audio. It's as simple as that. That brings in the audio stream, and with JT9 and JT65 modes, I am utilizing a 4 kilohertz filter, which allows me to decode all the way from, in this case on 20 meters, 14076 all the way to 14080. At both JT9 and JT65 modes at the same time. The other bit of setup here with the WSJT-X software is on the radio. So in this case I've set up my FlexRadio 6300 as a Kenwood TS480, and I'm doing cat control on serial port COM5. PTT method is cat. And then you can see the other settings, and you can pause and match up these settings, pause the video here and match these up, and so you have if you have the same radio and the same port setup. How I get the FlexRadio to use cat control on COM5 is a cat piece of software that loads when you load Smart SDR, and in here it's picked up my particular FlexRadio 6300, and I've assigned third-party programs to port 5. You can also do other ports, and you can do port mapping, etc. So that has to be running in order for the PTT and the cat control to change the frequency. So, and what this enables me to do is up here on the FlexRadio, if I go back here and I just use my mouse scroll wheel to change the frequency, you can see over here in the WSJT-X software that the frequency has changed. So the FlexRadio and the software are talking to each other on that COM5. Not much else here in the way of setup. I do choose, there's a couple of these that are not default. I do have a blank line between decoding periods. This will make more sense to people who've used JT65, but those of you who have not, I'll also talk about how easy it is to make a contact and how we go about doing that. I select the display distance in miles. I also choose the TX messages to RX frequency window. This allows me to see when, my transmissions in the window, and I'll go a little bit more into that later, but essentially over here in the RX frequency it would show a TX message in yellow, and that's me calling the station or replying. And then I say over here the show DXCC entity and work before status. I can double click on all call sets to TX enable, and I also have checked the box disable TX or stop transmitting if I ever send 73. I also have runaway TX watchdog selected, so if it tries 5 times to transmit and I had to go away for whatever reason, it would stop transmitting and save the radio. A couple other options in there that I do not have turned on. TX macros, I haven't played around with this too much, but you can add a lot of personalized messages here and make those available. I do have it on the reporting tab here, prompts me to log QSO, and that's really cool. What it does is it logs the contact, and it actually imports the log or the QSO into my DX Keeper software by DX Labs, and I'll show you that a little bit more in detail in just a bit. I also have toggled network services, enable PSK reporting, and what that does is it goes out to a website and reports what I've heard, and what mode and frequency, etc. And I'll show that a little more detail in a little bit later. The colors here, green CQ, a light like a salmon color is my call, transmitted messages in yellow, new DXCC in purple, new call in a light purple. So that's just a couple of the basic settings. And on the front screen here, of course, I have my call sign and my grid square. So with that, pretty simple to set up the FlexRadio in that regard. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to help you out with your FlexRadio and how to set that up. I have the screen minimized. Normally you have a lot more real estate with regard to the pan adapter, and I'll just demonstrate that a little bit here. So I can bring out this to a lot larger screen, and I can take the pan adapter in and out, and it's amazing how many megahertz the FlexRadio 6300 can listen to all the way across the spectrum. So I like to bring it back into the particular mode that I'm using, and in this case I'm transmitting on between 14076 and 14080. So I'll go ahead and minimize this down so I can have both the JT65 software and the FlexRadio on the same screen. Alright, well, I'll talk a little bit about another software package now called JTALERTX, and this is version 2.6.15. And what this does is it notifies me of new countries that I need on that mode, new states, and also a lot of other information, and I'll walk through the different alerts that you can do and the settings. Go ahead and turn on my audio. So right there, one of the options in the JTALERT
Minnesota
X is to have a beep come up when a decoding period is done. Basically, JT9 and JT65 transmit for 1 minute at a time. Sometimes you're distracted by other things and you may not be paying attention, so that little beep lets you know that, okay, my transmission is done or my receive 1 minute is done. So when that beep goes off, I know to look at the screen to see what's happening next. As you heard on the video here, it came through and notified me that Minnesota and Kentucky were there. So if I go over here to Kilo Echo 0 November was a new state for me on that particular mode.
Pennsylvania, Wisconsin.
So Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin. These are all new states for me on JT9 because I'm brand new to that mode. So the November India 9 Lima is in Wisconsin. And this little JTALERT software is handy because I can hover over here and I can say, oh, NI9L is a logbook of the world user. In 2015 he's uploaded. K8CXM in Ohio is a state that I need on JT65. As you can see here, it lists JT9 up at the top, and I needed Ohio on JT65. Over here, Pennsylvania, I need Pennsylvania on JT9, and he's on JT9. So if there happened to be a DX station, it would notify me of that as well.
Virginia, Minnesota.
Just so happens that Argentina here in gray I've worked before on JT65, so it wouldn't notify me that there's a new DXCC out there. But Kilo Echo 0 November in Minnesota, and as you can see here, it's purple. Purple means it's a CQ, so if I quickly glance down here, yep, I need Minnesota, I can go ahead and contact that individual. And I'll go through the QSO process here in just a little bit on this video, but I want to talk a little bit more about this software JTALERTX 2.6. In the alerts tab here, I want it to notify me if my own call has been decoded. So if someone's calling me or calling me back, I am notified. And I have a particular color come up in red. My call sign's there. I want to be notified if there's a CQ or a QRZ, and I want that to be in a certain color, and I'll go through how you set up those particular colors. I also want to be notified that this is a new state that I need, or a new country. And as you can see here, there's a lot of other options: continent, zone, grid, prefix, marathon, etc. I also want to show those stations that have logbook of the world. I want them to show as a flag. And I'll just go in here into the settings to give you a little bit more detail. If I click on Manage Settings, and while you go into the settings, your alert functions stop, and you're not able to get alerted to any new states or countries, for example. But let me go ahead and change the... Okay, here we go. So again, as I mentioned before, on call, I want to enable an alert to, if it hears K7CO or my name, to alert me, and it's going to alert me in red. I also have a pinball sound when my call sign comes up, and I click test, and there's the pinball sound. You can select many different sounds if you've downloaded the Ham Apps sound package, which it happens to be on the same website that JTALERT is on. If you do a Google search for JTALERT, it'll bring up the website, and there are, not besides the main program, there's a sounds executable file that you download, and there's also a call sign database Two of those are very important for some function here, but I could customize a particular sound for when my call comes up on the screen, but the pinball is working for me until I get sick of it. Over here on the left, CQ and QRZ, I want to enable the alert for this. It'll come up in green. I don't have an audio file for CQ because I just don't want it to be constantly sending out an audio file for a CQ. If you ever wanted to ignore a particular call sign, you can do that in this area. If you wanted a particular call sign, you could tell it to alert and have a particular sound. So if there's a de-expedition that you wanted to listen out for and you knew the call sign, you could add that call sign in here, enable the alert, and then you could play a particular wave file saying, you know, South Georgia on the air, and go get them. Under decode keywords, you could have it alert you for certain keywords. I don't do that. And as I talked about earlier, there's other options. I obviously want to know new states, and in this case I have it set just to 20 meters, and on JT65 I need 16 out of the 50. And this is, I think this is basing this off of confirmations, but I'll have to double check that because yes, it is, because I've received Logbook of the World confirmations for 34 different states, and I've only been on the mode for a little over a month, so I need 16 more states. The ones in yellow are the ones that I need, so it'll alert me when those are on, and I can change here the mode. JT9 I'm brand new to, so I actually need 41 of the states, and I have only worked 9. Want a DXCC, similar thing. I've already worked these particular DX countries, and 23 of them, and I need these 317. Again, I'm selecting 20 meters only at this time. Want a continent I don't really deal with. Zone. You know, at some point in the future, I will probably care about the wanted grid, but right now I have that alert turned off because I'm so new to these digital modes, JT9 and JT65, that being alerted for every new grid square, that would be a lot of audio alerts. You have a no alert option, priorities, and just play with the different settings and see what works for you. Under Logbook of the World, I do have a time filter to say if you haven't uploaded to Logbook of the World within the last 2 years, you don't count. You're not really a Logbook of the World user, because someone may have done it once and then stopped, and so they're not really a legitimate Logbook of the World user. And sometimes I want to be notified that a person is or is not a Logbook of the World user. One of the really neat functions of JTALERT is under logging. Of course, it's got you can create a standard ADF5 file, but in this case I've connected it to DXLab DXKeeper. I've enabled this, and I have DXKeeper running right now, and when I make a contact, it'll automatically put that QSO into the DXKeeper logbook, which is really handy because I don't have to go through later and export this ADF file out and then import it into DXKeeper. I'll show you how slick that really is when I make a contact. It's really nice that it's automatic, and of course it works with Ham Radio Deluxe, Log4OM, and MixW. I haven't really played with applications area except for the DXLab connection. You can test the connectivity there. Okay, there. Just realized that I have. Let me move this screen over just a little bit there so you can see all of it. Under web services, you do have this online logbook section that will allow you to connect your activities to qrz.com log. If you upload your logbook to qrz.com, it also enables you to put in your credentials for club log and a few other areas. So in my case, when I complete a QSO and I log it on the WSJT-X and the JTALERT software, it automatically uploads it to both clublog.org and also qrz.com. It's really slick. I'll show you that a little bit later on how to do that, but you can set that up there. I also have an online XML callbook lookup on qrz.com. Because I'm a subscriber, you pay a nominal yearly fee for that. You can look up names and various information about that station that will bring it into the logbook, which is kind of handy. One thing that is necessary is, let's say that the JTALERT software notifies me that I need a new state, and I work that state, and the software needs to scan your logbook and your database to no longer alert you to work that state is no longer needed. In this particular case, you can say, I want to enable this scan. I want to scan the logbook for wanted U.S. states. I don't care whether it's confirmed or not. I just, whether I worked them or not. But you do have the option to select logbook of the world. Also same with DXCC and country. In this case, I've said, you know what, only notify me of a new state if I haven't worked them. I don't care about confirmation at this juncture, but maybe later on I'll worry about whether or not I have a confirmation. It's really handy, but you have to do that. Let's say I work 2 or 3 new countries and a couple new states, and I haven't scanned the log. I need to scan the log and update the database so JTALERT doesn't notify me. It will notify me that I have a QSO before with a particular station, but it may see a different call sign into the same state or country as something that it needs to alert me to. So you scan this, you do this every once in a while, and it updates. It's kind of handy. A lot of other options in here. That's just basically the basics. You see how it's working here. While I'm out of the settings,
Ohio, Minnesota.
It's letting me know that Ohio and Minnesota, I need Ohio on JT65, and I need Minnesota on JT9. So I'll go through a
New DXCC.
oh
New
there's
Jersey, Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania.
okay, so right there it said new DXCC. So if I go over here, Echo Alpha 1, Echo Alpha Sierra on JT65, I need this for a new country on that mode. So it's really handy. In this particular case, Echo Alpha 1 Alpha or Echo Alpha Sierra is calling CQ. So I could go ahead and call him back, but I won't do that quite yet because we're still in tutorial mode. So we've talked about the FlexRadio, we've talked about WSJT, JTALERT, and we talked about the logging, how it automatically logs to DXKeeper, to ClubLog, and to QRZ.com. One thing that I will talk about now is I am in a position where I don't have an antenna at my house, or I do have an antenna, but it's in a precarious situation where it doesn't really get out very well, and I have to be inconspicuous with the neighbors, etc. So I have my FlexRadio 6300 and a vertical dipole at another location, and this other location has internet. The antenna is able to be in a little bit better position to see all ways north, south, east, west, and so I'm actually connecting to this computer remotely. So the interface that you're seeing is, of course, the FlexRadio 6300 Smart SDR software.
Indiana, Ohio.
And it looks as if it's on the screen right here in front of me, but in all actuality, I'm doing a remote session into another computer. As you can see at the top here, it's a log me in remote session. So in this case, I subscribed to log me in. for a year. It was not that expensive. And this allows me to run a little utility on that computer over there, and I'm able to remotely control the computer from home. Sound comes through. The video quality is really great. So if you're in a position where you're wanting to remotely control your radio for digital modes, I highly recommend the LogMeIn software. I won't go into detail about that particular software package, but feel free to email me,
Minnesota,
and I'll give you more details about where to get that package. There are a lot of other remote control software packages that allow you to do the same function, but this one really works well. And I like how the audio is coming through. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see if we can make a contact here. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here on my side, and I'll be right back. And then we'll make a contact.
Ohio, Indiana.
Okay, I'm back with you.
Pennsylvania.
One thing that I am going to do here before I make a contact is, well, right here, Kilo Echo 0, Kilo Sierra. I'm going to go ahead and double click on this pink line here, and what that did is it tuned my radio, or made the transmission come out on the same frequency that he is transmitting on. By double clicking on the station, it enabled the transmitter, and right now it's sending this little message here: Kilo Echo 0 Kilo Zulu K7 Charlie Oscar Delta November 30. Delta November 30 is my grid square. The entire world is broken up into grid squares, and you can Google ham radio grid squares and get an idea of what grid square you are in. So we just transmitted, and as I showed you earlier in the software settings, I said I want to show my transmissions in the receive frequency window. So over here in yellow it says TX. At 2335 it transmitted. I transmitted this particular line. Kilo Echo 0 Kilo Zulu was at -2 dB, so he was very strong. So it's highly likely that he heard me, but he may have other stations calling at the same time. We're going to find out here in a moment if he's coming back. JT65 is transmits for 1 minute and listens for 1 minute. So we're coming up here on 40 some odd seconds, about right in here. It'll start to decode. There it's decoding, and sure enough, I've set it up so it sends that nice pinball wave message when my call sign comes on the receive frequency from another station. So he heard me, K7CO KE0KZ. He gave me a signal report of -07 dB. I gave him, I'm sending to him right now, an R -03 dB signal report. And over here in the FlexRadio window, you can see that I'm transmitting closer to 14078 here in the spectrum. I'm running a little bit more than 30 watts, and everything looks good from this angle. So this is going to be a new, actually in this case, I believe that was a new state, Missouri. So we will go ahead and stop transmitting, and we're going to listen for a minute, and he will probably send back a message to us that will probably say RRR or 73 or something of something like this. The software keeps the TX enabled, so it'll transmit again the same message in case he did not receive it. If I do receive a successful message back, then I will go on to the next step. Some people will send RRR, but in my opinion, I've already sent that I've acknowledged that he's called me, so with the R, and that I've received his signal report. The R means I've received it. So Why do I need to send an RRR? I'll just go ahead and select a 73. It's decoding.
Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina.
And in this case, yep, there we go. Well, he didn't send anything back, so we're going to go ahead and transmit again. It just so happens that, and this doesn't happen very often, but WG9V is talking to a Cuba station, CO2 RVA, and it looks like it's on the same exact frequency that KE0KZ and I are in QSO. So I didn't see CO2 RVA was on this particular frequency earlier, so I don't see how we it looks like there may be a frequency conflict, but we'll play nice and see if we can continue to get KE0KZ in the log. One of the nice things here, and I can go back and look at the band activity. So in this case, at 2335, just looking here at the history. We're going to decode, hopefully. There we go. So he sent me an RR73. So K7CO, KE0KZ, RR73, so we're all good. The WSJT software is going to automatically pop up this log screen, and it's going to say, it's going to populate all the fields that we need. And we'll watch this. This is really cool. So when I hit OK, you can type in here TX power in comments if you wanted to. If I hit OK, the JTALERT software is going to send this QSO over to DX Keeper. So it's logged it locally in the WSJT-X database. But it's also, the JTALERT software said, okay, we're going to send this over to your regular logging software. So if I bring in my DX Keeper, you can see here that Kilo Echo 0 Kilo Echo 0 Kilo Zoo has been logged. And so I can go through and upload it to Logbook of the World, etc. So it's really slick that way. I really like it. So that's a successful contact. Again, one of the very nice things about a FlexRadio is you have the ability to turn on the 4 kilohertz filter. So I can decode both JT9 and JT65. I'll just talk a little bit briefly about some online resources that I use. So I will bring up those. I'll go ahead and minimize this guy. Okay, so
Wisconsin,
a couple
North
of
Carolina.
Online resources that I use that really come in handy are, give me just one moment here. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. I just
South Carolina, Georgia, Texas.
I had a glitch there. So in the one of the great websites out there is hamspots.net. So if I go up here to digital modes, and then I type in or I click on JT9 JT65 plus chat, it brings up this website, and this shows me spots that have happened, and I can select the particular bands. In this case, I'll come down here to the bottom. You can't see this, but I'll go ahead and log in. And here on the right of me, you can see all the spots and the age. 2 minutes ago, W4LDE was heard by VK6 KXW in Australia at -16 on JT65 on 40 meters. It's kind of nice. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and filter down every mode,
Wisconsin,
every band,
North Carolina,
down to 20 meters, and I'm going to apply the changes. So there's just 20 meter spots. There's a little chat box over here, and then as you can see here over my shoulder, it shows the calls that I've spotted, the stations that I've heard, and my WSJT software is reporting these to this central location. Or sorry, JTALERT is reporting this information to hamspots.net. And then over here, if I move just a little bit, you can see here where I've been spotted. So in this case, Japan Lima 1 Oscar Victor Charlie has heard me 3 minutes ago on JT65, a signal of -13 dB. Really handy website. I like the chat mode. I like to see where I am, where I'm being heard, and of course, as you can see here in red, it's highlighted. VK2 LJM has heard me on
Georgia,
JT65.
Texas.
That's pretty cool. And while this is all going on, JTALERT is notifying me of new states that I can go grab, which will be fun to do. So one other website that's handy is pskreporter.info, and in here I've selected I want to filter up here at the top just 20 meters. I want to show signals sent by the call sign K7CO, and we'll say using JT, that's probably JT65 or 9, and I want to go the last 15 minutes. So here in the United States, I'm being heard at all of these locations. These people may or may not be in front of their radio. Sometimes they leave them on all day, which is kind of nice. But over here in Victor Echo 2
Wisconsin,
land,
Ohio,
I'm being heard at -10 dB, as you can see in the little pop-up window there. If I scroll out, you could see that I'm also, well, I scrolled out a little too far. I'm also being heard in Japan. And so it gives you an idea of where your transmissions are getting out to. So in this case, JH1QKG heard me on JT65. JL1OVC heard me at -13 dB. So it's kind of handy. So pskreporter.info, highly recommend you check it out, and also hamspots.net. One thing I was talking about earlier was that the JTALERT software
Massachusetts,
in the logbook
Texas,
automatically
Minnesota,
go to club log and QRZ.com. So if I go to my QRZ.com webpage and I do a refresh here, I logged that station in Minnesota, so he's going to show up automatically here in my last entry on club log, and so I didn't have to upload that, it just all was automatic. And if I log in here to QRZ.com and I go to my own logbook, it also uploaded to my QRZ.com logbook automatically. right there, KE0KZ. So really nice, a lot of redundancy. I like to have my log backed up in case my computer has a problem. So there's a couple of nice resources. Just briefly,
New
we'll talk.
DXCC, Ohio, Wisconsin.
If you are new to the JT modes, I highly recommend that you just go to this website. You can Google WSJT, and this will be one of the top references. You can download the WSJT, or in this case WSJT-X, which does both the JT9 and JT65. That's a place to get started. And then of course you can Google JTALERT and find that download as well. It's a really neat piece of software. So with that, it looks like Peru came in. They are calling CQ. So Oscar Alpha 4 Alpha Italy, which would be a new country for me, called CQ. Wonder if anyone's going back to him.
Massachusetts, North Carolina, Virginia, Minnesota.
So it looks like November Oscar A Quebec called the Peru station. Probably make a successful contact. Anyway, I'll make another video of chasing DX and other stations, so you get an idea of how it works. But I appreciate you tuning in, and please hit the like button, hit the subscribe, because I'll be putting future videos out on the FlexRadio 6300 and JT65 and 9 software. May dabble in some CW and also some RTTY. You never know what happens. So thanks for tuning in, and you can reach me on my QRZ.com webpage. Their email address is
New
there.
DXCC, Ohio, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and it does look like the Ohio, let's see. Yep, the NO8Q is in QSO with the OA4AI. Cool. All right, well, thanks a lot again, and hope this has been helpful, and we'll see you later. Thanks for tuning in. This is K7CO, and I'm signing clear.